Welcome to the Sparky Coach podcast. I'm Cam, joined by Joey again today. Welcome along, Joe.
Mate, how you doing?
I'm very, very well. So, going to have a bit of a chat around wholesalers. They're extremely important. Let's not call it anything else. Extremely important to our business.
They're kind of pivotal, aren't
They would. I would say your electrical wholesaler would supply probably somewhere around 90%, generally speaking. Might be a little bit less, but generally between 80 to 90%, depending on your size, of all the supplies that you utilize on a day-to-day basis. As you get a little bit bigger, it tends to diminish a little bit through purchasing power, through other dynamics. You might go direct to cable suppliers, or you might have in the commercial space, you might have some really good suppliers in the fixing sort of fixture space who sort of all encompassing conduit and tray and all those sorts of bits and pieces. But they're going to take up a large chunk of your spend every month. And wanted to really jump into around the relationship you have with your wholesaler. And I'm going to say insert suppliers here, full stop, but let's just focus on your main electrical wholesaler today, because you can actually probably just take this wherever you actually end up buying from. So if you've got a relationship with, if you're purchasing from the local hardware supplier as well, if you're in a regional area, there's obviously relevance in this conversation as well too. So the relationship with your supplier, I feel, is almost on a heavenly level, almost godlike sort of level. It is extremely important.
It's definitely bromance level at the minimum.
Definitely bromance level like that. So really, really important to understand that, because it has such an impact on your business. So they can affect your bottom line first and foremost, because obviously what your purchasing power is, but not so much the purchasing power, because a lot's changed in my 20 plus years in the game. It's more so the consistency around the pricing that we're looking for in that sense. You're looking for also too around the product, so the supply of the product. Now, relationship, really important. I love talking about this because everyone's got different stories. Full disclosure, my wholesaler, my main one that I use, is not even the closest one by probably the top 10 to like my location vicinity. So mine is a fair bit further away, and that is purely based on relationships. So I'll give you a bit of a background how my relationship started with my supplier. I was working down that neck of the woods. I'd been probably going, I reckon, for about 18 months, maybe 2 years-ish, give or take, and I hadn't really settled on a supplier. I had some really good relationships with some Brisbane-based suppliers who would help me out in varying situations. Didn't really have a really good, solid relationship with anyone direct. I knew a few guys and chatted to them, and sort of had, they'd put me in contact with the 2IC or the BDM or the manager. But like a lot of things, no one's really interested when you're small fish, so to speak, the perceived small fish. So I was just down the neck of the woods at Hayman's Currumbin. I'll shout out to them, to Pierce, Lukey, Maddie, Eben, and Ian and Clado down there. So
first name basis, look at you go.
So what it was that they took the time to basically just ask me a few questions when I turned up one day. It was actually Lukey. Took a genuine interest, and sort of we fitted into the type of client that they were after. So I think we had maybe 1 or 2 staff at the time. So they weren't looking at playing in the big boys game. They were about looking after that sort of, 0 to probably 15 staff is sort of where they felt comfortable with. Now, it was refreshing to felt wanted. I'm going to first and foremost say that, because there's other mobs that I've dealt with over my time. It's like, oh, when you do this or if you do that, then we'll, start to take an interest in that. So that, and they, the real emphasis was the service. I guess almost that they really focus on the service. One thing that really stands out to me now, still to this day, is that the core crew of 5 of them have been there for, I think, 6 or 7 years in total now. So when you're communicating with them, you know who they are. Like every time someone answers the phone, you know who it is. They've got a real team culture. They've got a good environment. So first and foremost, I've got a bit of an importance around the service side of things, which is all encompassing around who the team is, the stability of the team, and then the ability to deliver. And delivery is huge for me because I genuinely feel going to the wholesale is a complete waste of time. Now, I know some people love it and it's part of their daily ritual, and I get it because it gives you a little bit of contact and a little bit of, takes away, I guess, a little bit of the monotony of business and things like that. But I am the opposite. I love the delivery. I love getting things to site. I love being on site. I love being able to pick up the efficiency in that particular way. So those two areas, obviously the speed to get pricing back to you, the size in the ability that you know everyone, but also to they've got enough people there to get things out. I'm sure we've all dealt with 3 people branches or 4 people branch. It's incredibly challenging for them to provide the service that you need in that sense. So I really want to emphasize that for me, those things are really important to me around the serviceability, knowledge, and skill set. Price is extremely important too. Obviously, it plays a point, but I actually think price is the easiest thing to communicate with because if you get it and it's not right, they've got a chance to rectify it as well because you can just have that open, clean conversation. For whatever reason, people have a bit of a struggle with that. Then there's also the stock levels. So, stock levels, obviously, ability to supply materials. I probably don't have so much of a drama in that sense because that I'm not going in there every day to be like, oh, you don't have this, oh, you don't have that. We're putting a lot of orders through, so it gives them the capabilities of like they can organize how they get that material along the way to getting
You're
to
also
site.
city.
Yeah, we're also obviously a metropolitan area, so there's obviously more options there. Now, that's probably where I sit in the sense of like some kind of hierarchy, I guess, around like where I place the importance around it. And I'd love to hear your thoughts because I think having the relationship gets you out of trouble so many times, and it shouldn't always be the price driven. Yes, you should be getting a fair, reasonable, you know, price on things, but also to I don't want you to underestimate how important it is to have a quality service. So, what's your experience like, Joey?
I agree totally. I We drive from our shed to the main wholesaler we use, where we're 90%. We drive past 3 other wholesalers to get there. Now, it's still like where we're based regionally, we're still 30, 40 minutes away. That's not stop start traffic, that's 100K highway. Big difference between stop start traffic and 100K highway. So we drive past 3 to get there. We've developed that relationship now, a little bit of a different one. The way I've developed my relationship with that wholesaler is the manager. So originally as an apprentice, that's the wholesaler we used when I was an apprentice. So we knew the guys there, the same guys that were there then are still there now. Probably 3 of them are still there.
Yeah, well, so that'd be what, 15, 20 years?
15, 20 years, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
And then a lot of them have been in the wholesaler game forever. But the main reason why we shop there now is because the manager's a mate of my brother's. That's the shortest version of it.
Okay, yeah, so the clean relationship.
Clean relationship. But also they deliver out to us 2 days a week. So we put our orders in for our jobs. They deliver it, it sits on the shelf. The guys pick it up from the shelf and then go to the job. That's the biggest thing for me. As you said, stock availability is another big thing, especially being regional. Now, obviously, being regional stores, when you said like 2 to 3, 3 to 4 staff member wholesalers, that's all our wholesalers. Yeah, they're all small. This one's got 5 staff.
Yeah, probably got a driver, got a storeman or a driver or someone like that. Probably
Storeman,
so.
driver, a guy that quotes the manager, and 2 guys on the counter, 2 or 3 guys on the counter. Yeah. So that's what our wholesaler is. We're MM as well, so we're TLE, not Haymans, but still MM. And then, yeah, so for me, it's getting stuff to it. Stock on the shelves, depending on what industry you're in regional areas, can get hard. So industrial stuff, last minute, like Schneider, industrial switches, contactors, stuff like that. Not necessarily off the shelf item, but your generic. That's their residential branch. That's the easiest way to put it.
Yeah, residential, light commercial sort of stuff, which
Yeah.
is the dominant sort of sectors.
hmm as well as when we were down in Wollongong, other way, depending on what wholesaler you went to. Because it's got the steelworks and the high industrial. There was a couple of wholesalers that didn't have much resi commercial stuff, but they were all industrial, like big NHP boards, contactors, stop start switches, all that
Stuff
kind of
straight
stuff.
off the shelf.
Yeah, straight off the shelf. So down there we had two wholesalers. We used one for industrial and one for everything else.
Yeah, which pretty much would cover you off because I don't know if you've never experienced it. A very good industrial wholesaler, it's phenomenal. Like the gear that they carry, and it's just purely geographical. That's what it is. So if they're in industrial states with high manufacturing and high, you know, I guess that sort of mining even area, which is what Wollongong was, but very high manufacturing. They have a lot of stuff that you wouldn't even realize.
Being able to walk into a wholesaler and walking away with a VFD is like pretty good.
Yeah, it's quite ridiculous. So touching on that, we've had a few, I guess, members sort of talk around, I guess, not being entirely satisfied with their current supplier situation. Now, I probably, apart from if you're in like a very regional area, you're generally going to have a little bit of choice more than likely. There's more choice than ever too. Let's just preface that for
You've
argument.
got online as well.
There's online wholesalers
That's
as well.
another whole conversation.
There's a lot of choice in the area. So I think obviously it's different. So like I know guys in central Queensland who have different areas around there, and they might be based in one part and 30, 45 minutes away is another town, yet they use that town because they have a better service. So I think you really got to understand where the service side of it sits. But a lot of guys are sort of saying, hey, not probably getting out of what the supply that I want. They're maybe not feeling like they're getting much love. The pricing may be off, stock levels might not be there, or there just might be a misalignment around it. And I would say this is a common trend that you come up against. And it's probably like most things, everyone is feeling subjectively busy, right? So let's insert, hey, I'm super busy. So, it should just be doing it. But I think if we unwrap it all and take a couple of steps back, it's like anything you have within your business, it's a relationship at its core. So it's a relationship. So you got to work on relationships. You got to communicate with them. If the price is too high, just tell them. Like, just call it out for what it is. Just have the conversation around it. Hey, I can do this. This is what I've found. This is what I've got. Or keep them in check. It's like, price. You can price check them against certain, different suppliers. Like, let's call it for what it is. You can go online. You can go to your online portal that you have, and you can literally go, I want the top 50 purchased items sort of thing. Bang. And you just literally send them a copy of it. You don't have to make it anything that you don't want it to be. So what would you encourage guys to do who are out there who feel like they've got a bit of a misalignment with their current wholesaler and they've got obviously choices and options? What would you say?
It all comes down to what you want to get out of it. If you just chasing price, I don't think you're ever going to build that relationship where they drop stuff and bring it out to you. I feel like it's a two-way street with a wholesaler. Like, obviously you want to get the best price, but in the end, they got to make money as well.
Yes.
So I think coming from a business perspective, if you keep that in mind when their prices go up and stuff like that, I think it's quite important to have that perspective. But also, again, what are you going into the wholesaler for? Like, is it a transactional relationship or is it a relationship that you want to build foundations on? Like, that's what you got to look at. Like, if you're just going in, like, there's one wholesaler where I probably in town I go to very rarely, but I'm just in and out, grab the gear and leave because I don't need to build that relationship with them. As whereas out one, I spend a lot of time talking to the manager, just back and forth, just banter, nothing serious, just banter really. And it's just building that. And then we have clear and honest conversations now. Like I had a conversation with him the other day after back and forth, back and forth. He's like, I'm pricing this project. He's like, who else is pricing? Do you know? I'm like, this guy and this guy. He's like, cool. They don't shop with us. And he gave me like bare minimum. Like he barely marked up his products for me. Because it's cool. This guy's pricing. He doesn't shop with us. Stuff him. And then he's going to try and do what we can for us. I think it's important to remain a two-way street
Yeah.
as well.
And so a lot of the two-way street then comes down to not taking interest, but taking the time to build the relationship around
Mm-hmm.
it so that then you can, because it's very hard to have a conversation with someone when there's no sort of grounding level of a relationship there to begin with. Now, I mean, I liken it to the question that the guys ask is that, hey, like I would sit down and if you know them and have a relationship with them, I would just be sitting down having an open and honest relationship with them, a
Mm-hmm.
conversation, not relationship, open honest conversation. Hey, these are my sore points. Hey, it's pricing. Hey, I don't feel any love because this happened in this situation. The stock level is average on these fronts. These are the experiences that I've had. So no one can really improve if you don't give them the opportunity to improve.
Exactly.
Also, so
Exactly.
I think you got to be aware of that. And I think the other thing is you've got to be mindful of what works for you. So if you're going to that wholesaler daily because it's on the way through or your shed's nearby or home's nearby or whatever it is that it's the most convenient thing for you. So it's in your best interest to make it work more than likely as well. So you want to have that ability to just call it for what it is. And I think it's really important that you shouldn't be afraid of doing that because in my mind, and this is the way I think about it really simply, like, if you're spending 10 to, let's just call it 10 to 20,000 with them, right? Which I would say is, for
A
a
month.
lot of businesses is probably,
Mm.
a fair sort of estimation of what's being spent, right? So in the scheme of things, that's going to be somewhere between 120,000 and probably $250,000 a year in purchasing through that particular wholesaler. Now, yeah, it may not be the largest, right? But if you year on year on year grow, there's potential for that to then end up doubling and then doubling again and going from there. So I don't know too many wholesalers in my right mind who would be dismissive of those sorts of numbers,
Mm-hmm.
um, on a consistent basis as well to build it out. So I think also putting forward and having the conversation like, hey guys, look, we spend $15,000 a month with wholesalers. Like, we're happy to spend it with you. Like, we've got to spend it somewhere. So let's not spend. I don't see why we can't spend it to you, but we just need to be improved in these particular areas and find out what they want to do for you as well. Like, do they genuinely want to work with you? And then I think by having these conversations, you start to get an actual understanding. It's like, "Oh, these guys aren't really interested in me, or hey, no, they do really want to build a relationship
Mm-hmm.
with me in that sense. Any thoughts on that, Joe?
I agree. Wholesalers know when you shop around.
Yeah, your phone
Like,
starts ringing.
yeah, like, when I think there's a sense of loyalty involved with wholesalers as well. You can not blind loyalty, but if they're looking after you, I think it's a big. For me personally, I look after them. Like we're not. A lot of cases we don't shop around on price. We do some depending on the project, depending on what it is, but we look after them as much as they look after us. And I think that speaks volume, especially in a industry in a world where you can literally just jump online and buy the same product. And as you said, the wholesalers are trying to grow year to year too. So if they can see that you're on a projection of going up, they're going to try, if they're a good manager and a good wholesaler, they're going to look after you because they know that in 2 years' time, your 20 grand account's going to be worth 200 grand depending on how things go. Again, it comes back to me, that two-way street. But having that open conversation where you can call out bullshit too, I think is important. I like it. Our wholesaler gives us options too, like when we quote stuff. We recently had a project where if working with the wholesalers, talking about, hey, these are the fittings that were spec'd. And the wholesaler was like, cool, do you want me to get cross specs? Like it wasn't, I didn't request it, he offered it. And
Yeah,
by
work with
offering
you.
it, we ended up working out a better deal with the builder and all that. And we made more money.
Yeah. Yeah. So you got an
Um,
alternative fitting across the line. Clients save money, and then in turn, cost. They have a win.
yeah,
You have a win. Everyone
yeah,
wins.
yeah. And then like instead of like fittings that are very like you come across it with spec projects all the time. Like they spec a fitting that is identical to three others, but it's $2,000 instead of like $500. You know what I mean? And then obviously once you put your markup and all that kind of stuff on it, it adds to your quote.
And I think it's really important to identify and understand there that if you don't have that relationship, I'm going to say that they're not going to do it. They're
Hmm.
not going to give you an option because why?
Agreed.
Why would they? Because they're basically it just becomes then transactional. The shoe's now put on the other foot. It's like, well, they just want this, so I'm just going to give them that.
Hmm. And it's also they're going to know too if you're just going in there to try and beat someone else's price. Like if the only conversation you have to a wholesaler is, "Hey, can you beat this price?" They're not going to, you know what I mean? Like they're not going to bend over backwards to drop stuff out to you.
No, and I think the other thing that I guess is probably forgotten sometimes is that when you're in a bit of in a sticky situation, let's call it. So it could be like, hey, late one afternoon, you've been called out to a job where you need to get the mains redone or need to get something sorted out really urgency that's going to be going into the night, or it could be something called out on a Saturday or Sunday that you need a particular, one of your main clients, and they need something to get up and running. That relationship will stand that request. So
Well,
hey, happy to open up for you, and I'm
yeah,
sure you've got real life experience.
yeah, we had that. Like we were doing a shutdown of a big council building here. Installing EV chargers, we had to shut down. We can only shut down at night, like between because like I think they went to like 10 o'clock or something. There was cleaners there, and then we could only have like between 4 and 6 a.m. was our window. So we got there, installed all the breakers. One of the Schneider breakers was faulty out of the box. So I rang the manager. I was like, "Hey, I know it's 4:30 in the morning. Thank you for answering the call." And then an hour later, he was rocking up with it like a replacement. Like if we didn't have that relationship with that wholesaler at that point in time, it would have been a second shutdown, a second trip, a second cost for us where it's a nighttime job, and we couldn't have put that invoice out that week. It would have just delayed a lot of things. But having that relationship where he knows that we scratch his back and he scratches ours, it's just the beauty of it.
Plus, also to the, I guess, ability to then it's alleviated having another conversation with your client too, of
Hmm.
like, oh, hey, this is what's happened, blah blah blah, and like in reality, it's not your client's problem. Like they're
No.
like, but through, and yes, it's circumstantial it's happened, but through your relationship, you've been able to prevent that conversation needing to occur because you've got the solution to it or the resolution to it. And I've heard stories and had experiences where they probably do find out something around that, but I think it speaks volumes of yourself as a company and as a business that you've got those strong relationships. So it's almost like the triangle of
Yeah.
you've got the business, so you've got the staff, you've got the client, and then you've got the suppliers. So they feed each other. They're like a triangle, and it's
Mhm.
bi-directional because without one you don't really have the other. So you can have
No.
really great clients and really great staff, but average suppliers. And then in turn, your staff don't get the materials, so that you don't get the product that's sorted,
Yes.
and
I was
vice
just about
versa.
to say that. Yeah.
And vice versa, you could have amazing clients, amazing suppliers, but you've got an average team. So then it turns up, but it doesn't get executed very well. So you end up with a poor product. So it's
Hmm.
almost like a little golden triangle that you do need to have in check. And I think often out of that triangle, the supplier is always left last. I feel often, or put the least importance on. Uh, when I would say that they're vitally important to your business operations
Mm.
as well.
I a great wholesaler can make your business look excellent.
Mm.
Like
Yeah.
nothing beats than rocking up. Like you go into a client or you got an issue on a Friday Arvo and you fix it Friday Arvo. Like they've got that part, they've got that thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
they've got the solution for you. So
mm,
what do you reckon the like for you, what are the just to summarize what we've sort of already discussed and you've gone through, what are your sort of key or top 3, I guess, supplier or wholesaler requirements that you hold sort of dearly or the
um,
utmost?
that most probably price is probably at the bottom of the list. In all reality, the bottom of the needs. It's availability and quality of staff members in the
Mhm.
wholesaler.
Yep.
Because you can have a great wholesaler with the great gear, great pricing, but the staff members are useless. And then I think they're probably the big things for me. Wholesaler staff, wholesaler availability, and then probably price.
Yeah, nice. I like that. I like that. I really, I've got a high importance on the serviceability and
Mhm.
responsiveness. It sort of all molds into one, I guess. And if you filter down from that, it's the ability to deliver. It's the ability to not make it your problem. It's not my problem that you don't have something on the shelf, so I don't need to hear about it. So
No,
make it go
just
away.
get it.
Yeah, you just get it, and then the quality of staff. I think that all sort of rolls into it to make it a seamless experience. It's like, hey, this is what I need. Sweet, no worries at all. We'll make it happen.
I
And I
think
think
it's
it's
also
really good.
important to talk to the manager about the staff. If you've got a staff member at the wholesaler that is useless to deal with, same as if you like you're a client, you want your client to tell you that you didn't like working with that staff member because it's just again the wholesaler's in there to make money. You're in there to make money. Everyone needs key pieces to make things work.
Yeah, key cogs
Um,
in your system.
yeah, and if you have a brilliant wholesaler, you can provide a brilliant service and get brilliant clients. It's just what it is.
100%. So if you're in a bit of a situation where you're sort of unsure about how you're going with your wholesaler or you're sort of don't really have a relationship with a wholesaler at the moment, I strongly suggest organizing a sit down, have a conversation with them, start to build out on that relationship so that
Hmm.
you can look to build a long term mutually beneficial is probably a way to describe it as well. A mutually beneficial relationship that not only lets the wholesaler prosper, but most importantly, it lets you prosper as a business because they are such a vital cog within your business for the long term. Because every job needs some material. So if you haven't done it lately, sit down and have that conversation and work on building that relationship.
Absolutely agree.
Too easy. Thanks again, everyone. Talk soon.